Golf gets blamed on swing mechanics more than almost any other sport. The research points somewhere else. A lot of what happens on a golf course is your brain working against you, and it does that in at least two separate, well-documented ways. Start with choking under pressure, since it's the most studied. Cyan Beilock, a cognitive scientist who later became president of Dartmouth College, spent years studying this through golf putting specifically. Her research found that once a skill, like putting, is learned well, it's stored in the brain procedurally, meaning it runs without step-by-step conscious attention. Skilled golfers asked to recall specific putts afterward remember very little detail about them. That's not a flaw. That's what an automated skill looks like, running below the level of conscious tracking. The problem is what pressure does to that automation. Beilock's experiments found that golfers with higher working memory capacity, normally an advantage, actually declined more under pressure than golfers with lower working memory. Pressure pulls conscious attention back onto a skill that was running better without it. Beilock has described choking as a preventable information logjam in the brain, not simply nerves. In her own words, sometimes being conscious of our movements makes us choke. In one study, golfers who counted backward by threes while putting, occupying their working memory on purpose, performed better under pressure than golfers left alone with their thoughts. In another, golfers performed equally under low-pressure conditions, but once real money was on the line, the group left to consciously monitor their own stroke choked, while the distracted group held up. Greg Norman's collapse at the 1996 Masters after leading for 3 days is one of the most cited real-world examples of this pattern. Next time you're standing over a short putt that matters, are you thinking about the putt or about yourself hitting the putt? Drop your answer in the comments. The difference matters more than it sounds. That question connects directly to the second finding. Gabrielle Wolf, a kinesiology researcher at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, has spent over 2 decades studying where golfers point their attention. Her research consistently shows that focusing externally on the club, the target, or the shot you're trying to produce outperforms focusing internally on your own body mechanics. The mechanism mirrors what Beilock found with choking. An internal focus forces conscious control over a movement, while an external focus lets the brain run that same movement through faster, more automatic processing. Studies measuring this have found reduced conscious interference and quicker adjustments under an external focus. In a controlled study, golfers learning a pitch shot were split into 2 groups, one told to focus on their arm swing, the other told to focus on the swinging club itself. The club-focused group performed significantly better, both immediately and in a retention test the next day. Wolf's later work extended this finding directly to golf, showing external focus also improves motivation, not just accuracy. Then there's the yips, which is not the same thing as choking, and the science has split it into 2 separate categories. In 1989, a survey of over 1,000 golfers found that 28% of male respondents reported yips symptoms, most often jerks, tremors, or spasms in the dominant arm while putting, and that affected golfers tended to be older with more cumulative years of playing than unaffected golfers. For years, this was treated purely as anxiety. Then, in 2005, Mayo Clinic neurologist Charles Adler found something different. EMG testing showed abnormal muscle co-contraction in the putting arm in half of yips-affected golfers, a physical marker also seen in conditions like writer's cramp, and completely absent in golfers without the yips. Only 2 of those 5 affected golfers actually felt the co-contraction happening, which led Adler to suspect the condition may be more common than golfers themselves realize. His conclusion was that at least some cases of the yips are a focal dystonia, a genuine neurological movement disorder, not a confidence problem, and that dystonia often responds to specific medications rather than mental coaching. That conclusion isn't universally accepted. Neurologist Anthony Lang pushed back directly, pointing out that some yips sufferers respond to beta blockers, which true dystonia typically doesn't, and that muscle tension from anxiety alone could produce a similar signal. Later researchers have tried to reconcile both views by describing the yips as sitting on a continuum between focal dystonia and psychological choking, with some proposing there are genuinely 2 distinct subtypes rather than one single condition. None of this makes golf less frustrating. It does mean the frustration has an actual mechanism behind it, sometimes a working memory problem, sometimes an attention problem, and in some documented cases, a genuine neurological one. If a breakdown like this helps you make sense of your own game, subscribe. There's more of this coming.